Holy cow, what a wild week number 3 in the NFL football season it was. Upsets galore, a couple of them that I called. I know the videos or slash podcast did not come out. I'm sorry, they're all recorded. I could not get the program that I use to record the podcast to download correctly in the right file. Something was up with their server this weekend. I could not get them to upload to anything at all. Links, downloads, I could not get it to work. So I apologize that my picks video or picks podcast didn't come out. My, preview podcast didn't come out. I apologize. I don't know what was going on with the software, but I definitely didn't like it because I was ready to go. I've got my slide that I had. I got my slide so that you guys know I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Got a couple losses on there, so there's that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I had the weekend, the way it was set. I was pumped, man. I was absolutely absolutely pumped. And let's just start out right away. Let's get the main one out of the way. Okay, so Wild Monday night. We're not going to go over Thursday night nearly like usual. We're not going to go over Thursday night, but let's go over and let's simply run through this really fast. So starting with the Browns and the Giants, let's rock and roll. Here we go. Week 3 recap. Giants and the Browns. The Browns, I'm thinking last week was basically just a game of two teams that currently have no offense. I think one coach is in danger of getting fired. The other coach is not. Doug Peterson, after the loss to the Bills on Monday Night Football, I think has a lot of soul searching to do. The route combinations, the game plan, what's going on. I just at this point, Doug Peterson's offense needs to be in question. His coaching needs to be in question. Kevin Stefanski, no. Nick Chubb is out. Myles Garrett is out. Deshaun Watson is not a quarterback he needed to be stuck with. The ownership made an absolutely foolish decision, just like the Giants ownership did with Daniel Jones. But Daniel Jones outshined Deshaun Watson on Sunday, 236 passing yards. Malik Neighbors, 2 touchdowns. Big day for him. Giants pull out the W, 21-15 on the road in the dog pound, setting up a interesting Week 4 matchup on Thursday Night Football where the Cowboys go to New York. And this could be a really interesting game. We'll obviously get into it probably in the next podcast and sometime later this week. All right, the next one. We got Green Bay at Tennessee. This is a game that I picked. I picked the Packers. I have full faith in the Packers. I have full faith in Matt LaFleur. I think he is absolutely dialed in on what this team needs to be. Malik Willis on the revenge tour in Tennessee, who kicked him out without an offensive coach, kicked him out, got roasted by him on his return. Good for him. Good for him. Malik Willis absolutely toasted him. Will Levis ended up with more passing yards. Malik Willis, though, had 73 rushing yards. Beautiful scamper, a touchdown. Very accurate, very, very accurate throwing the football. The Packers on the road get the W, 30-14. Had a pick 6 by Jaire Alexander. And all around, the Packers look really good. Not going to lie. They look really good. So huge win for the Pack on the road. The Bears and the Colts. Game ended up being 21-16. Here's the reality with this. Anthony Richardson, 50%, no touchdowns, 2 picks. I really don't even want to elaborate on this game much more than this. The Bears' offense has gone backwards from last year. The defense played their hearts out and was just on the field too much. Caleb Williams is not the second coming of any quarterback outside of maybe a bust. Name your bust: Johnny Manziel, Brady Quinn, any Chicago quarterback that's been a bust. Name your pick: Kyle Orton, whatever it may be. Caleb Williams does not have the physical talent to play in the NFL. He's not faster. He's not more mobile. He's not accurate enough. He's not purely talented. Forget all that crap. It was hype and it ain't real. He did do good yesterday on some very good throws. Rome Odunze, he hit a fade to in the end zone. Actually, it was a gorgeous throw. I like that throw. It's an NFL throw you have to be able to make. He did make it, to his credit. But the Bears have no run game, and the play calling by Shane Waldron is absolutely atrocious. I don't know what else to say. The Bears are in trouble. The Colts, equally in trouble. You didn't give up the yards on the ground, and then you decided to let the yards up through the ground. Caleb Williams, 263 passing yards. Or sorry, no. 363 passing yards. No run game, but you let them throw all over the place. Seriously, the defense needs to play now. It got the turnovers. It got the takeaways. Sure. But the reality is, the Colts are playing the Steelers this week, and the Steelers are looking like they could be going 4-0 heading into their gauntlet stretch that they've got coming up. We'll talk about that game here in a second. Colts fans are starting to turn the corner on Steichen. They realize this is not good enough. AR's not good enough. This is not good enough. The game plan's not good enough. The fake motion's not good enough. It's stupid. Fans are starting to switch. For 1-2, you go 1-3 with the gauntlet of a schedule we have coming up, the Colts have coming up. It ain't going to work. But got the W, needed to get that W. Could not go 0-3. Did get the W, 21-16 over the Bears. The big shocker of the week, Minnesota 34-7, back-to-back, just absolutely roasting teams in their own stadium. That's two dominating wins, one against the Giants in week 1, and then this one against Houston. And then last week against San Francisco. Like, it's just, they are together right now. The Minnesota Vikings are playing together. And I like it. I like what I see. Kevin O'Connell has taken the wild out of Sam Darnold, controlled him, and it's working for him. It's working. He's looking good. He's got the receivers. He's got the running back. The offensive plan works for Sam Darnold. And Kevin O'Connell just isn't letting him be wild. Guess what? Put a quarterback in a successful system, he'll have success. Even if he won't have success anywhere else, he'll be successful there. So, honestly, I mean, congratulations to Sam Darnold. Congratulations to the Vikings. They got a tough game coming up this week against the Pack. But, hey, you're 3-0. Texans, they're fine. They're fine. They got to be knocked down every once in a while. You know, they won a division game, they won a primetime game, went to Minnesota. You know, like I said this last week. Every team's allowed to have a stinker. Guess what? That was their bad game. 34-7, you got beat. It's going to be a really good week of practice. They got a division game coming up against Jacksonville. It's what they needed. They'll be just fine. Philadelphia at New Orleans. This game was, oh my gosh, this was hard to watch. This was hard to watch. I wanted to pick the Saints. I picked the Saints. I felt being at home gave them the advantage, and they were up. They were up. And then just let Philadelphia drive down the field for the winning touchdown. The final score being 15-12. Eagles over the Saints. 15-12. Like, really? 15-12. Okay. Jalen Hurts didn't look that great. Saquon Barkley had a pretty good day. Not going to lie. Had a pretty good day. Had a huge touchdown run. But the game just, the Saints offense came back down to earth. I told you guys last week on my top 10 teams, I needed another week from the Saints. In the same breath, in the same week I said Philadelphia is a team that needed the W. Needed the W because they've got a gauntlet of a schedule. Next week, they're at Tampa Bay, who just got whooped by Denver. Not a good scenario for Philly, so they had to beat New Orleans. They did, to their credit. 15-12 is the final score. Really tough game to watch. Not a lot of excitement on either side, but sometimes that's what happens. So GG to Philadelphia. All right, the Chargers at the Steelers. This game was close, close, close. Justin Herbert went out. It was no longer what it was. I'm sorry, that's as simple as it is. I said last week, if Justin Herbert didn't play or was hurt and then went out, the Steelers would probably be able to win this, and that's exactly what happened. 20-10 at home over the Chargers. They got to be careful. This injury to Justin Herbert could derail the season. You got to be careful with him. Get a backup. Jim Harbaugh is probably going to be telling the GM, get me a backup that I can just use for 2 or 3 games. Get Herbert healthy. We're going for the playoffs here, and we need to be able to do this. We have to tread water for these next couple games. They got the Chiefs coming up. Not ideal, but you're at home. Chiefs, division. See what happens. The running game wasn't bad, but it wasn't what it had been. But congratulations to Pittsburgh. Justin Fields didn't have a bad game. Pittsburgh at home looks solid. Congratulations, 20-10, Pittsburgh Steelers over the Los Angeles Chargers. The big game of the week, of which I did pick, you guys will see this on the screen. Denver over Tampa Bay. I picked it. I followed through with it. I rocked it this week. I just felt Tampa, beautiful weather. Buccaneers offense had been really big coming off that win against Detroit. Just felt that they had to avoid the L, and they didn't. 26-7. Denver Broncos over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bo Nix throws for more yards than Baker Mayfield does. The Buccaneers offense absolutely stutters. Bo Nix gets his first W as a starter. Big win for the Broncos on the road. They definitely weren't as diverse as they want to be still, but big big win for the Broncos on the road. Now you can start working on climbing into that wild card, climbing into what's going to be set up, climbing where you need to go as this season progresses. That is exactly what Denver is sitting at now. The options are open. They got their one win. They're, sitting right in line with everybody else. And it's exactly what you need. All right, Carolina Panthers. My lock of the week, originally it was going to be the Browns, and I changed it to the Raiders. Well, here's the thing. Both of them lost, so either way, I would have been out of the Survivor League for the first go-round. Here's the thing. That red-headed shooter, Andy Dalton? All he did was run the offense that Dave Canales wants to run. That's what it was supposed to look like under Bryce Young. That's what it doesn't look like under Bryce Young. Andy Dalton basically made Bryce Young look like a complete buffoon. Beating the Raiders 36-22 in Las Vegas. Now, Antonio Pierce said guys started making business decisions on the field as the game started winding down. Stopped fighting. Stopped trying. He's an ex-player. He knows body language. And he called him out immediately. Emotional win over Baltimore. I told you guys they can't afford an L. They were part of my 3-3 last week. They can't afford an L to the Panthers. They did. Panthers have a W. The Raiders are now 1-2 instead of 2-1. 2-1, they're tied with the Chargers. 1-2, they're tied with the Broncos. I know. It changes it. But that's where they are at. All right, don't want to spend too much time on this game. I thought the difference would be a little bit bigger. Seattle beats Miami 24-3. Seattle did what they needed to do. They got the W. Honestly, there's nothing else to say. Skylar Thompson, the quarterback for Miami Dolphins, now has a rib injury. He is going to be out, so the Dolphins are going to be on their third quarterback. I guess they're going to potentially be the Cleveland Browns of last year. Let's see if they can pull out some W's. See if they can make the playoffs. I don't think so. Defense isn't strong enough. I think the Jets are easily the second best team in that division now. I didn't have the Dolphins making the playoffs to begin with. The Tua injury and what's going on now, they're sitting at 1-2. Honestly, sitting at 1-2 right now, it doesn't look good for them. It really doesn't look good for them. So Miami loses to Seattle 24-3. Seattle's offense, basically, Metcalf had a huge catch. Charbonnet had a couple good runs. Seattle's rolling right now, undefeated. And you know what? Here's the other thing. With the way that division currently is, they got a 2-game lead. Don't look now. They got a 2-game lead. And I'll go over why here in a second. Next game, Baltimore Ravens, Dallas Cowboys. Do not get fooled. This game was not 28-25. The game was 28-6 at the end of the third quarter. It was all garbage time points. Once again, garbage yards. 379 passing yards by Dak Prescott, all in garbage time. Dallas wasn't even close. Through the first three quarters, Baltimore was averaging 9 yards a play. Derrick Henry, I told you guys, look for him to get going. Guess what? He did. Derrick Henry got going. Lamar ran all over him. Dallas got punched in the mouth at home again and flat out fell on their face and didn't get up. Didn't even get up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't like how the Cowboys play football. CeeDee Lamb and Dak are fighting on the sideline. Micah Parsons is yelling at people. I don't know if you're getting people wound up or what you're doing, but back-to-back weeks, you've been toasted, and now you got to go play a Thursday night football game against a division rival who knows you can't do much. If it's not throwing, they don't have to worry. They can rush 4, protect against the pass, and make Dak beat them, and they'll probably be okay. The Ravens were aggressive. The Ravens got to Dak early. Look for the Giants to decide, you know what? Let's go all out. Let's go win this game with our defense on Thursday Night Football. Look out for that. But this game, big for the Ravens. I told you they needed a W. They dominated. Absolutely dominated on the road. They're 1-2. They've got a big game against Buffalo. So here's how the AFC North is looking right now. The AFC North is the Steelers undefeated, the Browns and the Ravens at 1-2, and the Cincinnati Bengals at 0-3. Okay? Cincinnati Bengals at 0-3. That's the AFC North right now. It will change by the end of the season, but right now, yeah, it's interesting. All right, the game that I didn't pick in the picks, as you see, wasn't part of my Hawks pick 6. But the spread was 7 points. And I took the Rams. I took the Rams at home. I don't know how they got the W. I don't. Outside of Sean McVay's coaching. Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford together kept the Rams alive in the playoff hunt by not going 0-3. And now they've got a date with the Bears. They could go back to 500 and be right in the thick of the playoff race in the NFC. Now, the NFC West is a little bit interesting. The Seahawks are now sitting there at 3-0. The 49ers, the Cardinals, and the Rams are all sitting there at 1-2. So the Seahawks have a 2-game lead over everybody else in that division right now, and that could be really big. Gives them a little bit of wiggle room here moving forward. Speaking of the Cardinals, they played the Detroit Lions. I think they were slightly better than the Lions, but just couldn't put the offensive drives together. It was a low-scoring game. The game was 20-13. Lions get the W. So it's not like they were out, absolutely outmanned. No. Arizona was right there. A gorgeous hook and ladder play from Amon-Ra St. Brown to Jahmyr Gibbs for a Detroit Lions touchdown. Beautiful play. I love seeing plays like that. But you know what? The Cardinals don't look bad. They will be a tough out. They will be a tough defeat. And I like where they're going. I really do. I like where they're going. I don't know if their coach is the right coach. I still am not that big of a fan of Gannon, but we'll see if they can move forward. We'll see where they can go. All right, Sunday Night Football. Um, all right, everybody that's claiming conspiracy theory for the Chiefs on this one, I can't argue. I wish I could. You do not understand how much I wish I could. But I can't. That was clearly pass interference. The guy's back is turned. He's bear hugging Pitts in the end zone. For those of you who didn't see the game, one of the final plays of the game, Kirk Cousins takes the snap, throws the ball. Pitts does a double move and beats the nickelback. I mean, flat out beat him. Beats the nickelback. Goes up for the catch. The Kansas City guy grabs him originally after getting beat on the double move, and then bear hugs him, face guarding him, while Pitts is trying to catch the ball. Never turns around. No pass interference. To all the conspiracy theorists, I can't tell you it's not true. Yeah, Atlanta should have won that game. Atlanta would have won that game. That would have been first and goal at the 1. Atlanta's getting the football into the end zone. They were pushing them. They would have. There was no way Chiefs are standing for 4 plays against an offensive line like that. And so yes, I can't deny it. I wish I could. It makes me sick to my stomach. I really wish I could, but I can't. But Kansas City gets the win, 22-17. But the good news for Atlanta is the Saints lost and the Bucks lost. So you're only a game behind them, and we've got the Saints versus the Falcons coming up this week in Atlanta. Time to get down to business. Time for Atlanta to brush off the KC loss, rock and roll, and get back into play. All right, the Buffalo-Jacksonville game, we're not going to spend much time on. Josh Allen throws 4 touchdowns. Jacksonville's offense looks absolutely inept. Doug Peterson, I don't know if he's got a plan. Looks like Shane Steichen. But he's got more talent on that side of the ball, better offensive line, and still can't do anything. I don't get it. Buffalo romps Jacksonville. Romps them. 47-10. Now, the game I want to talk about, and this will be how we close it out. The game I want to talk about, Washington Commanders beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Washington Commanders beat the Cincinnati Bengals. 38-33. Now, the final touchdown for Cincinnati kind of came in garbage time, which is, it's fine, whatever. Here's what was so impressive. The Bengals were up 28-13. Okay, they were up 28-13. They ended up in the fourth quarter being up 31-26. Now, what this did was simply this. It meant a field goal required a touchdown and 2-point conversion, a touchdown to win the game. Washington gets the ball after a punt, drives the ball downfield, uses over 7 minutes of the clock before this happens. The play of the game. It is 3rd down and 2. 3rd and 2. 2 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock in the fourth quarter. This has been a masterful drive by Jaden Daniels and the Washington offense. Cliff Kingsbury has a choice. Run the ball, and either the Bengals take a timeout. They only had two. Either the Bengals take a timeout, or they let it run down to the 2-minute warning on 4th down. You're at about, you're about a 43-yard field goal from exactly where they were. With that being said, Cliff Kingsbury trusts his rookie quarterback to throw a double move fly route to scary Terry McLaurin on the outside. With a man in his face, delivers a gorgeous ball that Terry McLaurin catches, gives them the lead at the time, 38 to 26. Sealing the victory for Washington. 92% completion percentage for Jayden Daniels. The Washington Commanders, through 3 games, have no turnovers. Jayden Daniels is what they thought Caleb Williams could be. And they were dead wrong. Jayden Daniels is playing the offense. I said it in the offseason. Cliff Kingsbury can play with Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels can be what Cliff Kingsbury needs him to be. And he's listening. He's following the process. He's not taking a bunch of risks. He's running. Tonight he was throwing 21 of 23. 2 touchdowns. Another one on the ground. Any team would be happy with the quarterback that goes 21 of 23 for 2 touches and then runs another one in. Washington is scary. They are now 2-1. They are above the Cowboys in the division. They're above the Giants. If the Saints would have pulled off the win over the Eagles, they'd be sitting number 1. Washington can play. Don't doubt them. They went into Cincinnati on Monday Night Football. They beat Joe Burrow and the Bengals in Cincinnati. The Bengals are now 0-3, and they got a lot of soul searching to do. Because the playoffs are getting away from them slowly but surely. You don't like the idea of going 0-4. That's really not how you want to make it work. Really not. All right. There we go. 15 games in 30 minutes. Week number 4 starts on Thursday. And if I remember correctly, week number 4 is the last week of a full slate of football games. Week number 4 is the last slate of 16 football games. Week number 5, we start bye weeks. So, here we go. As we close out week number 3, underdogs prevailed a lot. Congratulations to the underdogs. It makes the NFL season what NFL football is supposed to be. Any team can win any single week. I hate the fact that the Raiders lost because that was my Survivor League pick. But hey, it's better when every team can win. And so far this season seems to be the case. All right, guys. That's going to be it for me. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast, like the podcast, ring the notification bell. I deeply appreciate it. Thank you guys for stopping by on your Tuesday afternoon. Have an absolutely fantastic evening. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow when we start getting set for week number 4 in this NFL season. For Sports Talk with Hawk, and until next time, I'm Hawk, and I'm out.